One of the most important things that's going to happen over the next month and little over 6-7 weeks is going to be the robotaxi rollout, which will be next month in Austin, Texas.
The reason those investors are looking the other way is that Tesla remains the best positioned company in physical AI, and long term that should be worth more than $1.1 trillion.
All that and more. So let's get to it. Tesla stock is up in the pre-market almost 0.5%, currently sitting at $364.50. Coming off the Memorial Day weekend, TSLA had one heck of a day, up just about 6.9%. Simulation if I ever heard of one. For the week, TSLA is up almost 6%. With more days like yesterday, it won't be long now before TSLA is positive year to date. The stock has been up and to the right, not giving a damn about vehicle sales in Europe. Let's hear it from the legacy news media, shall we?
Tesla leading the S&P 500 right now, despite another big drop in European sales. Elon Musk posting over the weekend he's, quote, back to spending 24/7 at work on factory floors. Phil LeBeau is here with that. Music to investors' ears, Phil.
Yeah, I think investors like Elon when he's focused on Elon projects and not focused on Doge. Let's talk about the post that you mentioned, Sarah. This was the one that got a lot of attention. It's not something different from what we've heard from Elon Musk in the past. It's reiteration of what he told David Faber last week and what we've heard other times, back to spending 24/7 at work and sleeping in conference server factory rooms. I must be super focused on xAI, and Tesla, plus Starship launched next week as we have critical technologies rolling out. One of the most important things that's going to happen over the next month and little over 6-7 weeks is going to be the robotaxi rollout, which will be next month in Austin, Texas. It's going to be a small fleet. And remember, these will be existing Model Ys that will be part of a very small launch for the Tesla robotaxi service. It will not be the Cybercab.
That is something that really shouldn't be glossed over. I mean, you've got Model Ys, not Cybercabs, Model Ys that you could purchase today that they will be using as a robotaxi. FSD is already the only automation that you can purchase in a supervised nature. You're telling me that it's going to get unsupervised here soon? A car that you can own, that drives itself? Something tells me sales aren't going to be depressed for much longer.
In terms of the traditional business, European sales, these are the latest numbers from the European Auto Association. Brutal. Tesla down 49% for April compared to April of last year, while electric vehicles overall up 34.1%. Remember, the traditional auto business, if you will, EV business for Tesla, I mean, they had a rough first quarter relative to what was expected. 336,000 vehicles delivered. They did not grow sales last year compared to the year before. First time since really it was a startup that we saw that happen. And it raises the question, what can we expect for all of 2025? Finally, take a look at shares of Tesla versus BYD. You know, there was a note out from UBS about consumer interest in EVs falling. With regard to BYD, keep in mind that dip that you're seeing in the prices that you guys talked about in the intro to our segment here, that price war in China is not slowing down. It's brutally competitive. And the question becomes, you know, how many of these automakers or these EV companies at some point you start to see some consolidation over there? Because it's BYD and a few others who have the hammer and they are putting it down in terms of cutting prices.
For me, here in Texas, the only thing that matters when I purchase a vehicle is whether or not it can drive itself. If I lived in China, where they are allowing FSD supervised to operate over there in many a region, that too would be my primary concern. In Europe, they don't really have FSD over there. Once European Tesla owners start to experience FSD like we have over here, like in China, the value add will become ever apparent. It kind of ties into these excessive price cuts that BYD is engaging in currently. But I'm not here to speculate on that. That's really not the point. Currently, FSD is rolled out over there in a way that is kind of impressive, better than any other ADAS system that's over there. This will inevitably lead individuals to purchase Teslas due to the technology, despite the price being higher. I know I would. Once the technology works and is viable in every region around the world, that's when you'll see an uptick in sales. Now, it's not a matter of if, only a matter of when.
It's time to discuss Tesla to kick off this week, as we frequently do on this show. But today, we have some, unfortunately, negative news out of Europe. Sales plunging 49%, but doesn't seem to matter because we're up still well over 6.5% on the session as a result of Elon Musk and some of his commitments to remain at the helm of Tesla.
Yes, Tesla shares on the rise, leading the Mag 7 higher, and it's likely thanks to this super focused Elon Musk, who, yes, is back to sleeping at the office. This is the fourth straight month of declines in Europe. Tesla sales dropped 28% in March, and then 43% in January and February. So it's, continuing. It's not getting better. It's certainly getting worse there. Globally, Tesla shares sales have fallen about 13% in the first quarter. That's the worst quarter on record for Tesla. And it's interesting because even though we've seen the bulls like Dan Ives get more bullish, Gene Munster over at Deepwater is another bull as well. He actually was out with an X post earlier this month talking about why we've seen this big run in Tesla shares. At this point, Tesla shares up about 28% so far in May. And he actually says that deliveries are going to get worse before they get better. So still very bullish, but he says he's at 1.6 million, down about 11% year over year versus the street's 1.7 million.
1.6 million? He's definitely not looking at it through rose-colored glasses, is he, ladies and gentlemen? 1.6 would be quite disappointing. Now, I don't think they're going to beat by a large amount, but I have a feeling that they could get very, very close to 1.8 million vehicles this year. I believe it all focuses on that rollout in Austin, the expansion of robotaxis in Texas. For the rest of the year, they won't be using cybercabs. When cybercabs hit, that's going to be an entirely different scenario, but for now, they're just going to be using standard issue Model Ys. Vehicles that people can purchase today. They're going to be making commercially viable from a robotaxi perspective. Tesla is the only auto manufacturer that provides personal autonomy as of right now. Anybody else trying to get in this game is going to soon realize this is harder than Tesla makes it look.
He said the reason those investors are looking the other way is that Tesla remains the best positioned company in physical AI, and long term that should be worth more than $1.1 trillion. So, it's interesting because the bulls keep getting more bullish, yet they're not expecting these numbers to necessarily improve from here, not just in Europe, but overall this year.
Yeah, that is very interesting, especially because I think the greatest point he made is that we're still seeing EVs climb within that same region, but just not from Tesla. So that shows that market share is being eroded, and with no signs of that necessarily stopping anytime soon.
Oh, the signs are there. It's just a matter of whether or not you want to take the time to decipher that puzzle. In conclusion, leading up to the Q2 earnings call, or even the annual shareholders meeting, Tesla has a lot of things they would like to accomplish. While automotive sales are currently in decline, I'm a firm believer that it won't stay like that for long. Tesla will continue to barrel ahead, focused on solving for a generalized autonomous solution. While the stock market feels they need to reward TSLA for getting their key man back at the controls, to me, it doesn't matter. If you believe Tesla will solve for autonomy with a pure vision system, the company is seriously undervalued at this moment. I can't argue though. With Elon Musk living at his companies, it's more than likely that these gargantuan tasks are going to get accomplished sooner rather than later. That's all I've got for you today. Be easy.